Selamat datang ke topik 3, binding.
What's up guys, welcome to your 5th 3ds Max tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to be teaching you guys how to bind objects together, and we're going to be building some pipes to make it look like a bendy straw, like you'd get at McDonald's or something, and we're going to be binding it together with another tube. So let's go ahead and click tube right here and create our first tube. So I'm going to create something like this, and make sure you drag down instead of up. And now let's go ahead and modify it. Set radius 1, which is the inner radius, to something like 6, and then set the radius 2, which is just a little bit bigger, to 7. And now I'm gonna go ahead and change the height. Go ahead and drag out here, I can see a little more. Go ahead and gotta select it again. Select it, modify, and change that height until you think you got, like, that looks like the height of a straw. So go ahead and I'm just going to move this up so it's above the plane, and I'm going to go ahead and create another one. Remember, your radius is 6 and 7, and you can change the other height to whatever you want. So go ahead and create tube, and let's go ahead and create another one. Drag out, drag down, and now change your radius 1 to 6, change your radius 2 to 7, and then go ahead and scroll your height until you think that looks good. And now let's go ahead and move this so it's a little bit closer. So in your top one, move it to the top, or move it closer to one another. And then in your left, or anytime, or your front, it really doesn't matter, go ahead and drag it up so they are close to one another. They don't need to be touching. Actually, you probably want them a little far apart like that. So now we got two tubes that are the same radius but different heights. And as you can see, we're missing just the bendy part of the straw right now. So that's what we're going to create. So let's zoom in on this since we don't need all that. And go ahead and instead of your standard primitives, and make sure you're in your create still, go ahead and click extended primitives, and then go ahead and click hose. And we're going to create a hose right now. So just go ahead and drag out and drag up. And now we got a hose. And I know that this isn't on top of this or whatever, but that doesn't really matter right now. So the first thing we want to do before we even change the diameter or anything like that is go ahead and connect it. So what you need to do, let's just go ahead and I want to deselect this, select your hose and go up to modify, and that way I just like working in modify better. Go ahead and click bound to object pivots. So go ahead and select that, and that's going to allow you to bind this hose that we just created to your sections of your pipe or tube. So go ahead and pick top object, click that, and this allows you to click your top object. And now it says top tube 2. So now let's go ahead and pick bottom object, and go ahead and press that. And now you see our hose is bound to our tubes. So let's scroll out a little bit, and now that it's bound to our tubes, we need to fix it up a little bit. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is change the tension. So just change it to something that looks nice, like 32, and just mess around with it, like 18 for the bottom. That looks good. Now aside from that, what we want to do is set the start and end value. And this depends. You always want to go 0 to start and 100 to end. So let me zoom up in here, and I'll show you what happens if you don't go to 0 or 100. So if you go like from 50%, then the only thing you're editing is 50% of the tube. So you want to start at 0 and go to 100, and this way you can edit the entire hose, not the tube. So after that, what we want to do is probably go to cycles, and what cycles means is pretty much, in this case, how many bends. So we probably want to go something that looks good. That's too much, like 9. That looks good. And now this diameter right here, right under common hose parameters, this is the diameter of your, let's see, you see the outer ridges right here and your inner ridges when it expands out and in. The diameter under common hose properties is your diameter of your inner. So let's go ahead and set that to something like, let me see, something that looks good, 13. That looks pretty good to me. So if we change it, we decide it looks bad, we can always come back. And now we want to go under hose shape, and this is the last thing we're going to do. And we're going to want to change the parameter, or excuse me, the diameter of the entire hose. So go ahead and probably the the best view for viewing this is the top, since you can see the diameter of the top hose. So go ahead and click this again, or your hose, and go ahead and change the parameter, or excuse me, how come I keep saying parameter? Diameter of your hose by just scrolling down until it fits like right there. So that looks good from the top view, and also the perspective view, if we zoom in, that looks pretty good as well. So now we have a bendy straw, and we can go ahead and change our views with our view cube, and bam, look at that. So probably the only things you want to do now is you can change the color by clicking like color, set them all the same, change this color, and then go ahead and change this color, and just make sure they're all uniform color, so it kind of looks like, you know, a straw is all the same color, so gotta keep it like that. And now if you want to see this kind of moving around, go ahead and select the shorter tube that we just created, and go ahead and in the move tool, and you can see what happens when we move our straw around. The bendable part stays with it since we connected or bound those objects, and we can go ahead and move it down, side to side, left to right, and we can also click rotate, and we want to make sure, and we can go ahead and rotate it like this. So that is how you bind objects to one another. Again, anytime you want to bind an object, just in the modifying panel, with the hose, click bound to object pivots, and then you pick your two objects you want to bind it to. And that's pretty much it for this tutorial on how to create a bendy straw, or how to create a piping system and connect them with hoses. Again, I use tubes and hoses. So thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and in the next tutorial I'll be showing you how to create something a little more advanced probably. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next tutorial.